Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines, coming to you from the West Coast. Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are kicking off this week with a 9-game slate on Monday night. In this one, we are taking a look at the Nets playing host to those Utah Jazz, who are now on that road trip. Take a look at some of the best bets in this one. Nate does have his great article up on playpicks.com as well, with some best bets and player props in there for you. And make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Got a couple other videos up for you today, including a player props video we love to bring you each and every weekday. And make sure you're staying on thelines.com as well, checking out who's coming in and out of those lineups all the way up until game time, as well as making sure you're on that odds checker, making sure you're getting the best odds available out there from odds makers. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, head to ftpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as what we've got for tonight. Nate, let's get into it.
Yeah, you basically got to pick them in Brooklyn here with Kyrie Irving ineligible to play. Jazz could be missing a few key guys here as well. They're -1 as we speak, and that total just dropped a little bit, 231 down to 229.5. Should fluctuate throughout the day here. 8 other games to look at on the slate. Some pretty interesting ones. Not necessarily the Blazers, who are +8 at Pistons, but the Heat -1.5 at Philly. Going to have to watch for Jimmy Butler news there. Pelicans are +6 at the Hornets. The Lakers are +6 at Cleveland. That is the other game we will break down there. You got to expect LeBron James will suit up for that hometown game. Celtics -15 at the Thunder. Thunder, both teams on a back-to-back. Celtics cannot be stopped right now, 22-3 of their last 25. Wizards -4.5 at the Rockets with a 234 total there. Raptors are +3.5 at the Bulls, and the Wolves +3 at the Mavericks. That's an interesting one as well. Nets heading home here without Kyrie. They've pretty much gone even in this spot their last 4, beating really bad teams in the Knicks and Trailblazers, and losing at the buzzer to the Mavs, and losing to the Miami Heat in KD's first game back, I believe. But really what stands out first is the pace they've been playing at in this situation, as they try to get shots, as they try to, KD has to run everything. He has to run the offense. He has to do all the scoring. He has to bail them out at the end of the shot clock. So their pace has been the 5th slowest in the league during that span at 95 possessions per game, not getting off many three-pointers and shooting the 7th worst percentage from beyond the arc in that span, but still limiting teams to 35% from 3 in these games. And that's really the trend we saw during the whole first 60% of the season before Kyrie was even an option. The Nets were the best 3-point defense in the league for a while. They would limit teams. They'd go steady under at home, and they would just kind of slow it down and have KD get his shot at the end of the shot clock. So now they welcome in a Jazz team that's also slowed it down a lot lately, down to 95 pace as well in their last 5 road games, with all 5 going under. And after struggling a little bit to defend with Rudy Gobert back, they've now returned to their absolutely elite defense with a 104 defensive rating. That's second best in the league. 3 of 4 games with Rudy have gone under. And all the ones on the road have gone under. And both these teams, not allowing any second chance shots, really not allowing much at the rim. Yeah. Andre Drummond looks pretty revitalized as a rim protector for the Nets. Add that to Kevin Durant and what he can do in terms of help defense, and they're pretty solid defensively right now. So the Jazz, you look at it, they're much more efficient at home, 14-20 to the over when they're on the road, and 7 of their last 8 non-conference games have gone under. And Bojan Bogdanovic is out, which is going to hurt. Again, not a lot of threes will be attempted if they don't have great 3-point shooters out there. Daniel House is out too. He would have slotted into that role. And Mike Conley questionable. So without Bogdanovic, their offensive rating drops 4 points. Same thing true with Conley, and their points per game drops 4 points as well without Conley. And the Nets still figuring things out with these new guys, with Seth Curry, Goran Dragic, guys slotting into the spots that were previously held by James Harden and company, and they're playing a bit more of defensive oriented lineups and around KD, focusing on that strategy I talked about with just bail us out KD.
Yeah.
And I like the under all around here. I think I do like the Jazz a little bit more, but it depends if Mike Conley's playing. So I mean, right now, as of now, when we don't know if he's playing, I'm just going to hit the under here. I like it. I like it at 230.
Yeah, I think that's the play. You mentioned at the top it's been fluctuating a bit in terms of that total. Not much. It's really between 229, 231.5. I've seen it get up there. I think you can, if you want to monitor it a little bit, wait till it gets to that 231 mark again. On DraftKings, it's at 229.5, but it's moving around. So if you like it around there, either way, sitting around that total 229 to 231, 232, we love the under more so just because we don't know, like you said, Mike Conley and Bogdanovich, if they play tonight, I do like the Jazz a little bit more, but I don't like either of these teams enough over the other one to really, pick a winner in it, just because it is a lot of what can you do for us tonight, KD, and then relying on Andre Drummond and Seth Curry coming in obviously as well, and then Patty Mills, all the young, all the small guards that they have on the wing that can shoot. But I think there's the opportunity for the under because of that we haven't really gotten the odds sort of adjusted on the Jazz side for Rudy coming back and actually now implementing that defense that the Jazz were hoping they would have had all season, but has been really up and down. And like you mentioned, in those last 4 that he's been back, 3 of them going under, all of them on the road going under, that defensive rating getting better, and really, starting to, it's interesting because at the same time, they are going to stop you from getting to the rim and they're going to defend the 3-point line. We know that with the Jazz. They're not going to defend the 2-point mid-range necessarily as well, or what exactly everybody on the KD Nets wants to do in terms of that ISO ball. So they do have, overall the best opponent field goal percentage the Jazz do since Rudy came back, which is obviously, is telling, but it's a lot of those points in the paint that they're now limiting again, and really the 2-point mid-range is one shot that you can get off against this team in the Jazz. As you know, Rudy's going to be sitting back down a little bit further, and there's going to be some space in between the 3-point line and the paint for guys like KD to get his shot off, which is exactly where he wants to shoot if he's not throwing assists outside. So, interestingly, Seth Curry missed a few games in a row, but the last 3 that he's played, they've won. And not surprisingly, the last 3 that they played with him and they've won, their 3-point percentage is 3 percentage points better than in those games that he missed in the week of about 310 to 318 there in March of 10th to 18th, where he missed a couple games. So, I think the fact that the Jazz don't go over nearly as much on the road, as their offense is a lot worse on the road. In those road games, they've got they're making one less 3. They're shooting a few percentage points worse in their wins as well. They really need that 3-point percentage to be higher, as it's about 38% in their wins, 33% in their losses. And as you mentioned, the Nets, for everything that they do on defense or don't do or have been sort of struggling with at times, they still have been a very good 3-point defensive team. And since KD's come back, still in the top 12 in terms of 3-point defense. And then Drummond coming in has they're number 1 since in their last 4 in terms of limiting the opponent's rebounds because of Andre Drummond. There's no other explanation. There's nobody else playing. And he's the guy averaging 10 boards a game over that time frame as well. So I think there's some things to like about the Nets. They do need a little bit of time to click. But I'm a little bit too, nervous in terms of the Jazz not necessarily having all their world beaters tonight. If they did have Conley and Bogey for sure, I'd feel a lot better about taking them, but it's just not worth it to me with the value that I believe we're getting on the under here with 2 teams, especially when you're at home with Brooklyn. No Kyrie means better defense and less offense. That's the play usually here.
Yeah, and with the Jazz on a back-to-back, you would expect like an even slower pace. This is the second game of a 6-game road trip that we talked about. It's going to be a long grind. They're not necessarily looking to get out here and run with a Nets team that struggled in the half court without Kyrie Irving. So there's no reason for them to do that, especially when they have Rudy Gobert that back there to anchor. The last 4, all 4 meetings with these teams since the Nets became a new era team have been missing at least one star. The Nets resting or injured their guys the last 2. Jazz before that, one team failing to score under 100 in 3 straight, and none of the games getting up to 230, which is what we're at here. So yeah, that's why I feel pretty confident about the under. I don't think that these teams are going to get into those types of shootouts. I mean, you look at the Jazz game last night, 108-103. They've been relatively low scoring for a while here. The Nets, they're most frequently under at home. And without Kyrie, going under at a pretty consistent clip here, including against the Knicks as well. So I mean, there's not that much to think about here other than the fact that Brooklyn is a good 3-point defense. Utah scores the highest percentage of points off threes. Brooklyn is not shooting threes, and Utah is most vulnerable giving up threes. So it's just, I don't see either offense erupting here. And I think that's why we feel so good about a low scoring, choppy game.
Yeah, I mean, not the sexiest pick in the world. We're saying there's going to be a lack of points. We don't necessarily know yet who's going to be playing for Utah. So as we mentioned a couple of times, definitely make sure you check out thelines.com, stay on who's going to be in and out of those lineups, because if you do get Mike Conley and you do get Bogey, one of them or both of them, there's, your under bet is a little bit, hurt there, but you might even see the total go up a bit if one or both of those guys does come back in the lineup. And then there's another opportunity for going under even a higher total there. So I think it's just about monitoring what's going to happen today, because we really need to know if those two super key players are going to be in for Utah.
I think Bogdanovich, I think they announced they're going to rest him. They're going to play it safe with him. I think he's going to be out for another week or so. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's about Conley, and if he's able to go tonight as well, which, second night in a row, it seems like a good night to even give him a rest if you're going to give Bogey, but they might need one of them in there. Either way, I think, like I'm saying, mostly if one of them does come in, the only thing I'm looking for here is to go ahead and hit an under again, as I think that total will rise a bit with Mike Conley being announced in, if that is the case. But either way, like I said, make sure you are checking that out on thelines.com, staying on top of that. We've also got that great odds checker tool to make sure you're getting the best juice available. And that is all the time that we have for you in this one. So make sure you are liked and subscribed to that page as well, and check out those other couple videos we have for you on this 9-game slate. And until we see you next, happy betting.